Chart guys, likes and shares appreciated. We're going to check in on Bitcoin. A lot of headline reactions. We started with a bear break of 100,000 over this weekend as we had a response to the US getting involved with the Iran situation. And then we had a bullish reaction to the potential ceasefire, hopefully ceasefire. So a lot of back and forth volatility, and we're going to check in on things. Good sign for the bulls to break support with zero follow through. I'll let you know my guide for bull control. It's probably not going to surprise you. It's an EMA 12 support level. And we have continued strength, significant strength in crypto stocks. And again, recently been talking about how, in my opinion, the alt season is crypto stock season because a significant amount of capital is on our traditional stock brokers. And it's a different game. If I'm in the Bitcoin ETF and I take profit there, I'm going to be trading MSTR, Coin, Riot, these crypto stocks as a rotational play instead of trading Bitcoin on an exchange, paying a dumb amount of fees, and then rotating around to alts. Because again, as I keep saying, the altcoin space is not giving volatility that I can't find more significantly elsewhere with fee-free trading. And again, just knowing that me as one professional trader, that's my mindset. I know that's magnified by thousands, tens of thousands of people across the country and across the world. So getting to the charts, we've got Bitcoin with, again, bear break, zero follow through. Fortunately, we only stayed under 100,000 for a few hours. And as soon as 100,000 broke, what I then shifted to was, if weekly EMA 12 holds, it's a bear break with zero follow through. And so at this point in time, this is still a bull flag. One of the major characteristics of a bull flag is you confirm a downtrend on a shorter term time frame with no follow through. If you're looking for an hourly bull flag, you confirm a 5-minute downtrend with no follow through. So this is a weekly downtrend confirming with zero follow through, which is keeping a bull flag on the table. So, recently I've been saying, if you break 100,000, I then have to start paying attention. And fortunately, not for long. And again, the thing for me has just been the lack of bulls having a game. Bulls have game plans for if we head up, I'll sell some at 120, 150, whatever it is. But I just am constantly trying to remind people you need two game plans. Game plan one, if it works out exactly as you're hoping. Game plan two, if it doesn't. And the thing that, I have multiple friends with a very significant amount of Bitcoin exposure for the last 8 years. They've sat through the last two bear markets. It's worked out. That's great. But again, they don't have a game plan for if we set a top that surprises them. Again, everybody's looking for 120,000 plus, and it's absolutely still on the table. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that we have to prepare for the unexpected and have those two game plans. But all in all, bulls are just fine. So the time frame that I care about right now is the daily. We are testing the daily lower high resistance, stalling out a little bit under it, 106.6 we'll call it. And if we were to fail that level, we would look for, again, what happened last time, right? Bear break, no follow through, great bounce. Bulls are back. You've got to confirm the daily uptrend. This is a great bounce. We have the space to look for the daily higher low. We got it here. Higher low, no. We've got to confirm that uptrend again. So wherever we top out, higher low, higher high is the next most important piece of information for me with where we stand. So obviously, bulls want to break 106.6 to create more space for that daily higher low to try and form, but that's the big check mark that we need from here if we're going to be real confident that that $100,000 support break is going to lack follow through. Zooming out a bit for the broader market, the NASDAQ looks just fine. Again, the fact that we couldn't roll over in any meaningful way with all these war headlines, and now here we are confirming a bull flag. The NASDAQ, as we speak, is hitting the highest level in months, and it is only all-time high resistance. And you can see, we're going to look at the altcoin space in just a moment, but the reaction yesterday to the potential ceasefire headline was risk on, and a lot of that was short covering. But, IWM, the Russell 2000, is a gauge of risk on, and the last 2 days, it has been a bit of a leader in terms of sectors. And so obviously alt bulls want risk on because that's the kind of mindset that helps them thrive. But long way to go for the altcoin bulls. We'll look at it in just a moment. But just to summarize, NASDAQ bulls, just fine. And again, if you get all-time highs, it's just continued confidence builder. So weekly bull flag confirming. And we'll see if we get an all-time high into July. Crypto stocks. So coin is on fire today. And again, just a comparison, not many altcoins with sufficient liquidity and volume are up 135% in the last less than 3 months. And coin is up in the last week and a half, 44%. No altcoins, aside from maybe some little tiny liquid, less liquid things, are doing that. And that's the lesser version. Again, we know CRCL has gone hundreds of percent in a couple of weeks. So again, in my opinion, that's where the opportunity is. That's where I've been focusing. CRCL has been a major focus for me the last couple of weeks. It looks like the top is in for now. Low climax or volume climax yesterday, relative weakness today. So I'm going to be watching CRCL for an hourly back burner to scout the daily high or low. But we are seeing profit rotation. Obviously, a lot of people have made a lot of money in Circle over the last 2 weeks and taking some profit yesterday into today, and then it's rotating around. Again, coin with the big leg up. I mean, coin's got its sights set on all-time highs. That's still 30% away, but the fundamental news that it's gotten recently for this bull flag to confirm, just a ton of strength. We're going to look for an hourly high or low. We're going to look for an hourly back burner for daily high or low eventually, but also seeing MSTR shaping up a bit today. It's still sideways. You know, the miners like Riot trying to hold a back test of previous resistance as support. Still not a ton of confidence in these miners. I was watching for that rotation, but ever since the headlines of last week, it's been Circle and coin as the main focus for me. And again, just going to continue monitoring. I'm watching crypto stocks way closer than I'm watching altcoins. And the way that I simplify that is just having, as I keep talking about, you know, Ethereum, ETH is the captain of the altcoins. And so if ETH starts to clearly prove things for me, then I'm more interested in other altcoins. And so that helps simplify so I don't have to look at 20 different altcoins every day. I'm just checking in with Ether, and if it's not doing it, then okay, back to crypto stocks. So there will be shifts. There will be capital flowing around, obviously, and there will come a time where altcoins do have 50% gain opportunity. But I'm just being really patient because of knowing how many times there's been false starts over the last bunch of months. And ETH BTC is showing us another false start. Again, right now, this ETH BTC chart is not doing anything different than back here. Big green, sideways, bear break, and we just did the same thing. So the big shift for me is if we hold that low and break that initial bounce high, we will be able to say this is different for the first time in over a year. But at this point, it's the same old for the same time over the last bunch of years. So burden remains on bulls to prove to us that something is different. And ETH, you know, we're wedged in here. We've been talking about, you know, the most important longer term resistant zone, and that's back here. You know, it was support, resistance, 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 resistance. But now we have this support as well, where it was resistance, resistance, support, 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 and now trying to hold a support again. So really, I've just, you know, more and more volume profile analysis, which is what Lamont does, and we post that Sunday video, or he does every week. It is shifting how I view markets a little bit because I used to just draw a singular line. This is the level, this is the level, and it's very clearly more zones. And viewing it as zones has helped me from being faked out. I'm getting faked out less because I'm giving a zone rather than an individual level. But we've got a very clear support zone. We'll call it 21 to 23, and a very clear resistance zone, 27 to 28.5. And we are right in the middle of it again. And it's just a constant battle between these levels. I mean, we had months of battle back here to end 2024. We had the battle of these zones in February, and we're back to battling these zones. And on that note, we got a webinar from Lori this Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern, talking about the transition from being, a small capital trader to a larger capital trader and the differences in trading style and things like that. So check that out. I'll post the link in the comments of this video when we're done. But check that. Actually, I'll just post it right now. Thursday, after hours. So prove it, ETH. Prove to us that it's time to be looking at altcoins. And as we know, the dominance chart, as I keep saying, just keep it simple. If we're setting weekly higher lows, nothing is changing. When we lose the weekly higher lows, it'll be the first time that has happened in 2025. And that will tell us something is shifting. But not at the moment. Bulls just fine. In terms of other altcoins, again, there's a whole bunch of names that just hit 2025 lows. And some decent, obviously some of the smaller names nobody cares about anymore, but some names that, I probably had a list, I don't have it in front of me, but 6 to 8 names on my list here hit a new 2025 low into that fear. And again, solid bounces. The low that we just hit 2 days ago is really important to hold. That needs to be a capitulation kind of low if anything is going to shift. And again, the alts did the same thing as Bitcoin last bounce, where they had a big bounce, they didn't confirm a daily trend change, and they gave it all back. So could that happen again? Absolutely. That's what we need to be keeping an eye on. But again, we were looking at our lead bulls shifting. Hype was one of the lead bulls that we were looking at. Are we about to shift to being a lead bear? It did roll over a bit. The big question, okay, we've lost the daily uptrend. Do we confirm the daily downtrend, or is this just a healthy weekly higher low? That's the next question for Hype. And again, not many names look like Hype in terms of a strong weekly uptrend. We had the other names that have been leaders recently, like CRV. It gave a bunch back. It's now just, that was a falling wedge that did not confirm. You could probably adjust it a bit, but it's just an equilibrium at this point. Tons of relative strength, and I'm just viewing this, go to the 2-week time frame on CRV, and it's a beautifully clear pattern. Big breakout, give a ton back. That tells us as soon as you retrace 50% plus, now you scout the equilibrium. Lower high was the most likely scenario. Higher low will be the most likely scenario. And I know that sometime, probably in August, no need to predict in advance, but probably in August, this tightening range is going to break. It could be July, it could be September, but this is a beautiful pattern. And so many times in the stock market world, a long-term monthly equilibrium will give a great entry signal when it breaks because the long terms have follow through. And again, just a quick rundown, a couple of those names. CCJ Uranium, we were watching this monthly equilibrium for a year plus. Huge follow through. Costco did it as well. You want a long-term pattern to get as tight as possible. So I would compile names, if I were you, compile names that are shaping up these tightening ranges to just know, okay, I got to keep an eye on this thing into later summer for when it breaks. If I want to be an aggressive bull and I have a bull lean, I'm looking for a play for a 2-week higher low. And I want to be able, I don't want to use 34 as my stop. That's too much risk. It's not a good risk reward setup. I need a level nearby where I say, 50 cents is the higher low or I'm wrong. And I use that 50 cents level as my stop. I'm not confident enough to say that with the bounce we have going at the moment. Confirm a daily uptrend. That'll be the first step towards a 2-week higher low. But again, a nice and clear pattern here to be paying attention to later on down the line. And there's a number of them. QNT, monthly, potentially an equilibrium shaping up. But CRV is nice and clear. All right, I'm reading the chat room now. We're doing an earlier live stream here because it's hot and I want to go swim in a waterfall. But I'll answer your questions first. Bitcoin, same price as 7 months ago. I mean, yeah, and the the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, same price as 5-6 months ago. So definitely similarities there. And yeah, hopefully we get confidence in another leg up seeping out from the broader market. John, you're making assumptions and not listening to anything I'm saying. So John says only BTC can go from 97.7 to 105.7 in a day, and I can make a legit argument that it lacks follow through. You are not listening because I'm saying it lacked bear follow through on the break of 100,000. I guess I might not have been talking at that point, so we'll give you a free pass. Fees are extremely not good. Okay, I agree with that. Again, it's a game changer. It's literally, again, I'm one person as an example. It's literally a difference of tens of thousands of dollars in my pocket. If I do the exact same trading in my stockbroker versus on Coinbase or wherever else, it's 5-figure difference. And if you zoom out over the last 8 years, it's like $600,000 of difference. What's up, Norbs? Hope you're well as well. Correct, yes. And that is the biggest difference, is your hands are tied when you're trading Bitcoin on a stockbroker. Your hands are tied over the weekend. That definitely is a major factor and something to consider. In an ideal world, you know, you're longing in a free stockbroker, fee-free, and you have the ability to short on an exchange, and then, you know, if something happens on the weekend or if there's whatever, then you can essentially treat it as a hedge and short here while you're still long and hands tied, and it acts the same way as if you're selling that position. New haircut, thanks. Summer haircut, too long. I was getting tangled up in it. Dollar, I haven't actually looked at the dollar today. Yeah, good sign. We confirmed a little inverse head and shoulders with no follow through. Good sign. Definitely want to see a fresh low here, but clearly still dollar weakness, which is what bulls want to see. Circle downside if we break the short-term support, hourly oversold. And I often use back burners as targets as a bear. You know, if I've got a short on, and I'm trying to hold a runner to hourly oversold, and maybe I'll sell it at, you know, hourly 33 RSI to front run a little bit, but I often use those as targets. So I don't have the indicator right now. There's indicators out there that you can pull up where it will tell you what the price would be if we were to drop to oversold right now. But, you know, roughly 2 teens would get us closer to 200, 15% drop from here. And so if this daily inside bar forms and then breaks bear tomorrow, that's the next thing we're going to be watching for. But again, glaring relative weakness today. And recent IPOs have a lack of correlation to other things because, you know, the automated trading systems, the market makers haven't established all their positions to have it be, you know, Coin is tracking Bitcoin way closer than Circle is tracking Bitcoin. Yep, all those points. I have to use tax software to send info to my CPA. Less recently, but, you know, when I've got the problem with the crypto exchanges is if I do a market buy, it's going to fill me, you know, 15 orders in one order, and that each one is treated as an individual thing. And so there have been times where I've sent I've had hundreds of pages of transactions that I have to sort and condense down, and I can't just send that mess to my CPA. I have to organize it a little bit myself. And so I do use, I think the one I've been using is cointracking.info over the years, just to aggregate the information. And really what it is I get my answer and then I give the data to him and he gets his answer and we just make sure we're on the same page and real close to each other. It's tricky. Wow, Elizabeth already audited. Thanks for sharing that. I have not been, surprisingly. Probably because I've paid a lot to Uncle Sam. Yep, real deal is right. All right, so again, just to summarize, we are testing daily lower high resistance on Bitcoin. It's a very solid bounce. We have space for a daily higher low. We did last time as well, and it didn't form. So actually, no, it did. It just equilibriumed into a bear break. That's the next big check mark. What's the bear check mark? Turn $100,000 into resistance and reject from it. That's what bears have to do. Obviously, they're not looking good for doing that right now. The bulls have to confirm that daily uptrend. For altcoins, we've got to lose the dominance weekly higher lows. We've got to see ETH lead the way. We've got to see ETH BTC break that recent high. If it can't do so, we don't have confidence in the altcoin space as a whole. In the meantime, actively trading crypto stocks. Volatility has been great. CRCL hourly back burner is the next long trade that I'm interested in. I actually got a great short yesterday. I shorted it at 295, playing off 300 psychological resistance, just a little, low risk attempt. And that dump was beautiful off that level. But unfortunately, Fidelity doesn't have any short shares available today. Looks like the bears gobbled them all up. You can trade options when that's the case, but I much prefer common shares. NATO top outcome might impact crypto prices more than traditional stocks as news is more focused on X rather than traditional news channels. I don't think so, but that's just an opinion that I don't have a ton of confidence in. It's an interesting thesis. More focused on X. I mean, I've seen the shift over the last decade where how important, I have a video from like 8 years ago called Tweets Moving Trillions on an event that happened probably like 2016 or something. And that's when it started to really become clear that Twitter was changing the game of trading in terms of, CEOs saying things on Twitter and now nations and leaders of nations saying things. And it's just been really fascinating to watch how the game has changed due to Twitter. And obviously there's tons of automated bots and algos and trading systems that are incorporating Twitter and what hits there first. And it does hit there before traditional news sites many, many times. So, obviously the most recent example is the Elon Musk Trump drama where Tesla dumps, double-digit percent when Elon starts going wild. And again, it's not something that's going to come across CNN until way later. Do I trade stocks in a regular taxable brokerage? Yes. I have trader tax status, TTS, which means wash sales don't mean anything to me. I can write off a bunch of stuff. I remember when I first switched, I had a less competent CPA years ago, and then I got a trader CPA. And when he switched me to TTS, I got like 6 figures back from the previous year. And that was a huge eye-opener, like, wow, I need to make sure my CPAs know what they're doing and not just assume they know what they're doing, because many times they don't. There's very specialized things. What news sites am I using for quick updates? So I always have Twitter up, but honestly, it's our chat room. If you've got hundreds of active eyes, everybody's got their own sources, and it's just aggregated. And so I almost always see news first when it hits our chat room. And then, I'll look at a chart. Someone will say, whoa, what's up with Google? And I'll type in Google into Twitter, and I'll find out in 30 seconds what the headline is that Google is reacting to. Yep. I mean, the charts always matter more than the news, right? So ceasefire issues, but we're in a 5-minute uptrend on the NASDAQ. Then that's all we care about. We care about the 5-minute uptrend way more than the headline. The headline can tell us, hey, pay attention. But yeah, I mean, I have been remaining bullish in the broader market because of the lack of any bear follow through when it seemed like the table was set for them. Hey, this is your chance for weekly consolidation. It should be easy in this environment, and it was not easy for them whatsoever. Chips are looking strong. All right. Thanks again for the likes, even though there's only 46. I appreciate the 46 of you. We'll check back in soon. I'll do a long-term patterns webinar once this quarter ends, when we start July. And that'll be worthwhile. But other than that, one day at a time. Bulls loving the bear break with no follow-through. Still a little bit of proving to be done. The crypto stocks are building confidence. All right. See you soon. Do good things.